I just spent countless hours building a project management tracker I wish I had when I was managing projects. Now we're gonna look at the functionalities first in this video, and then I'm gonna show you how to use it. I made this tool free so you can download it via the link in the description, and if you want to support the channel, you can do it via a donation. You have the thanks button, you can see how to do it on the screen, or at least you can leave a like and a comment. It is free, but it's worth gold for me because it will help the algorithm spread the video. So let's check it out together. The first thing I need to tell you is that this is a macro-based file. So if you download it through the link, there is a code that does the whole magic behind. And what you need to do is right-click, Properties, and here you can unblock. If it's already unblocked, it means that you won't see this, so you don't need to do anything. In my case, I just unblock and press OK, and we open the file. And this is my Gantt chart. It is beautiful. I'm going to tell you about the features first, and then we're going to do a plan from scratch, so you're going to see how easy it is to use it. So first of all, you have a slick design, easy to see colors. And an important thing in projects, and I face this in my career, is that we have a long project. So what do? We have dates here. We start moving to the right and then the left. It's really cumbersome. In my case, I can use a scroll bar. So if I do this, I'm moving days to the right, and you can see the plan is automatically updated. We are on the 9th of December, and here I can go back. The other thing that you have is the main information on the left. So here I have a stage S, task or milestone, and I have the name, who is responsible, whether there is an issue, number of work days, start end, and percentage completion. And everything calculates automatically. You also have different views for the project. So for example, if I open this, first of all, you have the main information here, and I want to highlight a date. So for example, I can highlight today, which is automated, or the 25th of November. I do this, and then it's highlighted. I can see where I am in the project. You can also have different lenses for the project. So this is a project structure, which means that this is one stage. So I can see the stage in a color. This is another one, and so on. If I want to see it by team members, for example, I have team roles, I can see all my coders in one color, all my finance people, etc. I also have a default view. This is in gray, and I have an issues view. So everywhere there is an issue, I see it in red. I can add, for example, an issue here, and it will become in red. Let's go back to our project structure. It looks nice. If I have a base plan, so if I open this, I previously projected that I'm going to start this task on the 15th of November and end it on the 5th of December. So if I want to see this in my plan, I can go here, plan versus base, and this will be grayed out. So I can see, for example, here, this is from 15th November to 19th November. Unfortunately, I started late. Let's just go back to plan. You can see the dates automatically adjust. And here, if I want to show my progress, so I have a percentage completion for every item. And for example, this milestone is already done. I can go here, show progress, yes. You'll see the color changes for my progress, 45%. This is 45%. And this becomes a flag because I am at 100%. Let's go back here. And let me show you one more thing. Here we have dependencies. So for example, in project, I need to finish task 2, this one, to start this one, task 3. Well, I linked it through an ID. So the ID is here, it's 3, I linked it. So automatically, you can see I finish on the 28th and I start this one on the 29th. And you can see it in the graph. Now, if I change this to 29, for example, automatically everything will adjust. Let's go back to 28 November. And here, for example, we are starting just after this task. I can say, for example, I want the same day as a start, and you can see it already adjusted. Let's go back here, and let me show you another cool thing, the formatting. So if I change this to, for example, a stage, you can see that automatically everything gets formatted in bold, etc. The way I want, the color changes here, everything is there. Let's go back to a task and let's just delete this. So we go back to our plan. Final cherry on the cake, you have a setting sheet. So obviously you have the normal stuff, the project details, the roles, the team members. You have a holiday list. So if I change my holidays, I will see this reflected on my Gantt chart and I can change my working days. Let's go now make a plan. You're gonna see how easy it is. The first thing to do is to give a bit of breathing room for this chart. We cannot see much, right? So what we're gonna do is go here. You can collapse the ribbon, so you can click on this arrow. If you want it back, just click on anything here and you have pinned the ribbon. I don't want to pin it. I can see better. I can also collapse this so I can see the whole chart. Now what we're gonna do is click on this icon and delete everything. I am sure, yes, 100%. Now we have a blank chart. I'm just going to open this and go to the settings sheet. So what do we do? First of all, we have the project details. So you can type in whatever you want here. You go and you can see them. So this is the project name, the project manager, etc. Let's go back and we have the project role type. Here I can put maximum 8 roles. Why? Because I'm using 8 colors in the Gantt chart and they will repeat. So if you have more, what you could do is very simple. You can club them. For example, you have finance people and accounting people. You can call this finance and accounting and it will work out. You just give it a code. It's always good in a project to have limited amount of roles. Otherwise, it's complete chaos. So what we're gonna do here is, for example, add a role. We can call it role, give it an ID, ROL, and you can see automatically with this formula how many people are under this role. Here I have 0, obviously. Now the team members, I can add as many as I want. So if I want more, I just go here and I can add like this, type the name of the person and then select a role. I'm just gonna do Ctrl Z and here we're gonna go and do, for example, Bob, select something, and you will see that there is a formula that picks up the code automatically. Now I'm gonna fire Bob, I don't need him. What you cannot do is, for example, put Bob here and select a role. I don't need to see any blank row between the team members. We're just gonna delete this and go to the holiday list. For the holiday list, again, you can put as many as you want. You can just start adding at the bottom. Again, no blank row. For example, I can put one here, 25 November, etc. Make sure you write dates and not something that looks like dates. Otherwise, you might have a problem. Let's just delete this. Next, we have the work days and the off days. So here I'm off on Saturday and Sunday, but I could be off also on Wednesday. So I can make this off. I can be also workaholic and work the whole week. So this way, I don't have any day off. Now, in my case, I have 2 days off, which are Saturday and Sunday. You can define more, but be careful. You need at least 3 work days. If you do more, then you're gonna have an error. Now let's bring this back to where it was. And once we do all this, we start with the project. Obviously, everything is dynamic. If you change something here, it will impact the calendar, the project. I will show you this in a second, especially the impact of the working days and the holiday. Now let's go here and start. Here we have 3 types, a stage, a task, and a milestone. Let's start with the stage. You can see this beautiful format, it comes automatically. So I'm just going to put planning. And here I can select somebody responsible. Now you can select somebody if you want. If you don't, it's okay. I'm going to select the PM. Automatically, I get this role PM. It's done by the code. Why? Because every cell that has this color is calculated. So the IDs I don't put, the role, here you have the D item, start and end. And this start and end will go into the project. So you have to get those things right, which are the input columns, to get the right calculations. I'm going to show you this. It's super simple. Now, for the stage, you don't put anything. You will just put under it tasks. For example, this is T1. We select somebody, Mark, and here we can put an issue. So if I want to put any issue in front of anything, I just select this icon. You will see what it does later. Let's look at how to get the start and end dates. So the first way is to use this in start. So you define a start date for the task and you will define a number of working days. For example, 22 November, press enter. You can see that now the calendar is automatically updated and you have 1 working day because you have nothing here. So the minimum is 1. I can have 5, for example, press enter and you get it here. Another way to define, and I'm just going to create some tasks. Let's do it like this. And let's select some people. Cody, for example, Rob. you can use the end date and working days. For example, we have 2 December. Press enter, and here you go. It will go from 2 December backwards. Again, 1 day as a default. If I put 3, you will see that it goes back to 28th of November. All those are working days. Now we continue. Third way of defining the dates is using dependencies. So I want this task to be dependent on another one. For example, the one above. You can do any task, it doesn't matter. So for example, we're going to take T2. The ID is 3. I'm just going to put the ID here, press enter, and I will get an arrow. This is an arrow up saying that this task is dependent on the task that is above. It could be anywhere above. Then you have T, which is task, and T2 is the name. So if I change the name of the dependent task, it will change. And here you have a connection type. The definitions are here, but I'm going to explain to you what it means. First of all, if you have FS, it means I finish the dependent task and then I start mine. So this one starts the day after. Let's give it 2 working days. If you use SS, it has the same start as the one that is linked. SF, it will finish, then the other one will start. And FF, they finish at the same time. In my case, I want FS, and I can use a lag. Here, for example, it will start directly after, but if I put 5, it will start 5 days after. If I do -5, it is the same concept. It will start 5 days before. I don't want to use it now, so I'm just going to delete it. It's just to show you this one, it will work only with the dependencies. Now we can create another dependency. So we are dependent on this task. So for example, if I put here 10 November or 19 November, you can see that everything will work in tandem. I'm just going to go back to my 2 December to get the dates. Let's add a milestone. So this is M1. Nobody is responsible. We're going to put 5 dependent on this task. And here we're going to use FF. Why? Because the milestone, I want it to be here, the same date as the last task. You can see it. Let's put 2 days here. And this is my milestone. Easy, right? Let's do another stage quickly. So this is a stage. We're going to call it coding. And here we're going to put our project manager. As I said, nothing here. You can add a couple of tasks. Let's just make this a bit smaller so we can see. And we will do it like this. This is T5. We drag it. Now I can do the same. I'm going to select some other people. And I'm going to put here a problem. I don't like Luis. And I'm going to start, for example, on the 9th of December. This is this task. You can see it, another color, another stage. And here we're going to do some dependencies. So here we have 8 and then 9. Perfect. We have a Gantt chart now. I'm going to show you a few things that you need to be aware of. First of all, you have dependencies. So for example, here I define my start date. If I put in my end date 29 November, nothing happens. You see, it's still 28. Why? Because first it will look at the start date. If it's blank, then at the dependency. So in my case, it's in orange because it's not looking at it. If I delete this, it becomes black and it's looking at it and it's doing the whole job. Again, if I put 22 November and I put a link here to task number 3, nothing happens. Why? Because again, it will take this one. So I have to have those 2 empty, like here, to take the dependency. I'm just going to delete those 2, so we have something clean. The other thing you cannot do is put a bad date. For example, I'm just going to show you something super simple. I do this. You will get directly an error. It will tell you where, and you can fix it. So that's super simple. We fix it like this, and now we don't have any error. Let's see what we have done so far. So everything got calculated here for the stage. The minimum and the maximum dates are taken into account. Everything auto-calculates in this. You don't need to worry. You don't need to have a headache. If I just open, I have here some views. So first of all, we can highlight a date. We can highlight today or any other date. For example, 28th, and you can move like this in the project. You can also use scroll. So you can move, for example, this is 10 working days more. It will be easier for you to see the project. Let's go back. You can also go minus to a certain extent and you see more days. Those days are outside the project, and you can see the project starts on 22nd November till 11 December, 14 working days, and you can see them here. They are also in green. Now I'm just gonna go back to my normal view, and we're gonna see color by. This is pretty cool. Why? Because if you come here, you can also look at team roles. So every role has a color. As I told you, we have 8 colors. And this is cool because I can see what everybody is doing. I can add a filter like this. And for example, if I go to role, I can see all my coders. This is what they are doing. Let's go back. We can also remove the filter like this. It's a button. The other thing that you can look at is a default. It's a bit boring, but it's in gray. And issues. Everything that has this will be an issue. Now, if you want to comment, because I know you want to have observations, progress, etc., you don't need to have cells because it will be too crowded. What you do is you go here, you have review, and under review you can add a note or a comment. For example, if I add a comment in my version of Excel, I can write something here, click, and then I can put updates so I can see everything very easily. And when I see my chart, I can obviously collapse, and it's way simpler to see. Let's just make this a bit bigger and see what else we have. We're just gonna go back to project structure. Here we have display, plan, plan versus base. So if I open here, I have my base plan. So whenever I set up my plan, I can put the dates. Let's take an example. You can just copy them, you can do whatever you want, it doesn't matter. But let's assume we do this 15 till, for example, 21 November. And here we're gonna have 25 November till 11 December. If I go and switch to this view, you will see that it's grayed out wherever I have my base plan. So I can quickly see how I am doing versus my base plan. And obviously the dates will adjust. So we go back, we have show progress. This is where we have the progress. So I don't set the progress for my stage, but I do it for my tasks and milestones. And by the way, for milestone, I advise you to keep the workday to nothing because otherwise it can influence this calculation. Let's take a look. For example, this is 80%, so it will be a weighted average calculation. 60%, it depends on number of working days and the percentages. You'll get the overall percent here. Let's say this is 40, 20, and this is 100. So you get 58% here, and you have the other percentages. If I switch to this view with yes, look what will happen to this, the milestone, and the rest. You can see this is colored based on the percentages, and this, because it's 100%, it will become a flag. If you see, for example, we put nothing, or I don't know, 80%, it becomes a milestone. Perfect. Let's put back show progress to no, and let's move to the impact of the holidays and the work week on the calendar. So let's take an example. First of all, we look at holidays. This is the 25th, or let's say the 26th. Let's assume it's a holiday. What will happen? Well, we can see there is a task here that goes through it. So let's just put here 26 November. And if we come back, first of all, it's not in my calendar. Second of all, the date has changed here. It did not impact my whole stage, but it could. So it's all automatically recalculated. Now what happens if I start removing days? So this is off, and assume this is off. Again, you will see the impact on your calendar. So for example, this task has moved to 4th of December. This one now is 11 December, etc. If I just bring this back, you can see that now the dates have come back, and the overall one also came back to the 6th of December. Now that we have seen all this, what I want to show you is the things that you might do if you are a naughty person. So you will get a lot of errors. I try to flag most of them. I hope this is all. I will show you a few. First thing is linking. So let's assume that I don't link to task number 3, but I link to task number 4, which doesn't make sense. But this might happen. So if I do this, I get an error, and it will tell me that it references itself. You'll get it in red, so you can just fix it. For example, you put back 3, it's perfect. Now, another thing that can happen is you link to a stage. The problem is those dates are calculated based on those dates, and you cannot have this date dependent on this one, otherwise you have a circular reference. So what happens? If I put 1 here, it's a stage, it will tell you this. You can link to another stage, there is no problem. So for example, this one is 7. You can do this, it will be okay, it will just update. Let's go back. Let's assume you have linked this one to this stage. And unfortunately, you remove the date. So now there is nothing. So how can I calculate the dates? I can. It will tell you that this task is depending on this one. It has no start and or dependency. So you're gonna get a problem. Now, obviously, if you fix it like this, it's gonna work. If you add a dependency here, it's gonna work also. Or if you add, for example, the start date, you can get it right. Let's put back 28 November. If you delete a row, you might get into trouble also. Let me show you. You can delete rows, nothing happens, but let's say you have this link to this row and you delete it. So let's see, we delete. It will tell you you have a problem. You have task 5 depending on task 4 and it has no start and etc. Why does it say this? Because automatically the software will delete what you have here because the link now is gone and now this one is a problem. So when it deletes, sometimes it will not give you a message if you don't have a problem, but you need to relink. So for example, what I could do is insert, I have the same problem here, and I can start fixing my problems. So here, for example, I can put 28 November, I'm gonna get another problem, and here we link it, 3, it's automatically done now. Let's put a T for a task, T2, and we select the person again. Jane, for example, this problem is gone. Now, obviously, you can add rows, nothing happens. It's okay, you can add 2 rows at the same time. For example, like this, insert, you can have them. Those rows are empty or they are not linked. You can delete them very easily. And you can see that my indexes are automatically adjusting. Why? Because automatically when you write the number, it will become a formula. So if I add something, it will still link to this ID. Otherwise, you can get into trouble. What happens when a task becomes a stage? Let's check this out. For example, if you go here, what will happen is I put S and I get a problem. Why? Because now this is linked to a stage and not a task, and that's not good. So it will do all the validations for you. Finally, you have convoluted links. So for example, let's assume this is linked to 4 and this one is linked to task 9. So now I have a problem because those two are linked to this and this one is linked to this one. It's not gonna work. I get an error and I can change this. So for example, this will become 8 and this can become 3 and we are okay. So this is the summary of the tracker. Let me know what you think in the comment section, and obviously if you can leave a like, donation, I would be more than thrilled.